Inshallah, we'll get started. Thank you again for joining us today. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is the Daily Rayan Center Daily Khatra with Hafiz Hunzla. Inshallah, he's going to start on and I think try to finish the whole Surah Yusuf today. So, Hafiz Hunzla, please, whenever you're ready, go for it.
نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. So earlier I was thinking that how in the world would we be able to talk about the whole Surah Yusuf in just 15-20 minutes, but this idea was given to me by my father, so shout out to him. But so we'll just explain the general theme of Surah Yusuf, and then we'll start from the beginning of Surah Yusuf and see how each of these themes applied in each step in the story, or each chapter of this beautiful story that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has described as Ahsan al-Qasas, the best of stories. So the common theme that we see in Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam all throughout the story, and in Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam all throughout the story, was these two qualities of taqwa and sabr. Having the best form of these two qualities. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions this towards the end of the surah Yusuf, where He says, إِنَّهُ مَن يَتَّقِ وَيَصْبِرْ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُضِيعُ أَجْرَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. That verily that person who has taqwa, who fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and who has patience. And we mentioned many days ago that patience is of three types. Whether that be patience in terms of doing ibadat. We may not want to do it, but we have patience and we do these ibadat. Or there may be that patience during masa'ib, like problems that we're facing, as a result of us being in this dunya, whatever problems may arise, we have patience upon those problems as well. And lastly, as-sabru al-ma'asi, that these things that are evil, the things that have been prevented by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, prohibited by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we stay far away from doing these things. And we have patience in doing so. We express our patience in the sense that we stay away from these things. So the common themes of Surah Yusuf are two: having taqwa and having patience. So we start where Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam, when Yusuf, right in the beginning of Surah Yusuf, where Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam comes to his father and he tells him that, I saw this dream that رأيت أحد عشر كوكبا والشمس والقمر رأيتهم لي ساجدين, that I saw 11 stars and the sun and the moon that were all prostrating in front of me. And so what does Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam say? Now he has patience from the beginning, where he knows that his brothers, if they find out about this, Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam's brothers, they know that his sons, they would be jealous of Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam. He knew that they would be jealous. And he tells him that, Ya bunay, that, oh my sweet son, my son, do not tell this dream to any one of your brothers, فَيَكِيدُ لَكَ كَيْدًا, because then they will plan against you. Something will happen. They will create some type of trap or some type of, they will dupe you or deceive you in some way, shape, or form. So don't tell them anything. And he says that إِنَّ الشَّيْطَانَ لِلْإِنسَانِ عَدُوٌّ مُبِينٌ, that verily shaitan is such a clear enemy for each and every single human being. So right in the beginning, Yaqub alayhi salatu, he shows his patience from the start, where he knew that shaitan would come between his sons because of the jealousy that they had for Yusuf alayhi salatu. And then the story goes on where Yusuf alayhi salatu, his brothers, they all take him out and they want to play with him. So they ask Yaqub alayhi salatu for permission. And Yaqub alayhi salatu, he was scared. He was scared that something was going to happen to Yusuf alayhi salatu. And his sons were saying that, no, how can something happen to Yusuf alayhi salatu and we're all here, all of us like a band of brothers, nothing will come between us and Yusuf alayhi salatu. So then fast forward a little bit, what happened is that at nighttime they came back to their parents. The brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam, they came back to their father. They came back to Yaqub alayhi salam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala narrates all of this happening. And He says, وَجَاءُوا أَبَاهُمْ عِشَاءً يَبْكُونَ, they came at night to their father and they were all crying. قَالُوا يَا أَبَانَا إِنَّا ذَهَبْنَا نَسْتَبِقُ وَتَرَكْنَا يُوسُفَ عِنْدَ مَتَاعِنَا فَأَكَلَهُ الذِّئْبُ. And then they started claiming that a wolf ate Yusuf alayhi salam. And then Yaqub alayhi salam said, I don't believe you. وَمَا أَنْتَ بِمُؤْمِنٍ لَنَا. No, sorry. وَمَا أَنْتَ بِمُؤْمِنٍ لَنَا وَلَوْ كُنَّا صَادِقِينَ. The brothers are telling Yaqub alayhi salam that you're not going to believe us even if we were truthful. And so they brought something as a proof. They came with وَجَاءُوا عَلَىٰ قَمِيصِهِ بِدَمٍ كَذِبٍ. They brought, false blood. What does this mean? They slaughtered a goat and they rubbed that blood, or a ram or a sheep, and they rubbed that blood on the shirt of Yusuf alayhi salam, and they came with that shirt to Yaqub alayhi salam. And they presented it that, look, this is the proof. We know that you're not going to believe us with regards to whatever we're going to say, so here's the proof. And so Yaqub alayhi salam, he had such patience over here and he had taqwa. What does he say? He says, He said, قَالَ بَلْ سَوَّلَتْ لَكُمْ أَنفُسُكُمْ أَمْرًا فَصَبْرٌ جَمِيلٌ. He said, verily, patience is something which is very beautiful. Patience is such a beautiful quality. وَاللَّهُ الْمُسْتَعَانُ عَلَى مَا تَصِفُونَ. And surely only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can help whoever is in the situation in which you described him right now. So Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam, he's telling his sons that verily patient, I will bring this quality of patience. I will act upon this quality of patience. So again, following these themes of patience and sabr. Sorry, patience, which is sabr, and taqwa, meaning fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Next, what happened in the story? Where Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, now he's in the well. And now his brothers, a caravan passes this area. And they take Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam out of the well. And now what happens? The brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam, they sell their own brother. They sell Yusuf alayhi salam to this caravan, just so that they don't think that they threw their own brother into the well. So they're like, he's a runaway slave. The brothers are saying this to the caravan, that this guy over here, Yusuf alayhi salam, he's a runaway slave. We don't really want him, but we'll sell him to you. And you guys can take him, he can be a slave. He's a very good worker. So what happened? وَشَرَوْهُ بِثَمَنٍ بَخْسٍ دَرَاهِمًا مَعْدُودًا. That they sold him for such a despicable price. Like close to nothing, as if Yusuf alayhi salam was not worth anything. So throughout this, the sabr that Yusuf alayhi salam displays, that he's having patience, he's having tawakkul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that whatever is, like, I don't know where I'm going to go. I'm just going with this caravan to Egypt, to the city of Egypt, and to the city of Misr and Cairo, and I have no idea what's going on. I'm going with them to the country of Egypt, and I have no idea where they're taking me, no idea what will happen with regards to my future. I have no idea whatsoever. But he's having patience. It's okay. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with me. And then what happens? Then he's bought. وَقَالَ الَّذِي اشْتَرَاهُ مِن مِصْرَ لِامْرَأَتِهِ. He's bought by the wife of the Aziz. And at that time, it's like the financial minister, you could say. So he's very high in terms of his status and power and respect that he has in the eyes of people. So he's bought by the wife of this person. And we know the story where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَرَاوَدَتْهُ الَّتِي هُوَ فِي بَيْتِهَا عَنْ نَفْسِهِ وَغَلَّقَتِ الْأَبْوَابَ وَقَالَتْ هَيْتَ لَكَ. And where she locked the doors and she's calling Yusuf alayhi salam to herself, and she's inviting him to commit sin with her. And Yusuf alayhi salam displays the utmost levels of patience. And which type of patience is this? It's two types out of the three types that we mentioned. As-sabru anil ma'asi, meaning that he's being invited to commit a sin, but he's having patience. He's staying away. He's expecting reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for doing so. And he's also doing as-sabru ala ta'ah, that he's obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even though it might have been so hard for him. It would have been hard for any human being, but he's keeping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in front of him. So Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, he's displaying these high levels of patience and these high levels of taqwa, fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what does he say? قَالَ مَعَاذَ اللَّهِ إِنَّهُ رَبِّي أَحْسَنَ مَثْوَايَ. This is one thing to learn and one thing to realize, that the strongest defense against sin is to automatically seek protection from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself. Over here, Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, he doesn't rely on his own physical capabilities. He doesn't rely upon himself. He doesn't say that, okay, I myself, with my power, will say no to this woman and we'll leave this, we'll leave this scenario, we'll leave this situation. He doesn't say that. What does he say? قَالَ مَعَاذَ اللَّهِ. Right away, he's saying that I seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second the sin was presented in front of him, he automatically directed his attention towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there are many wisdoms that we can extract from this. Firstly, and the most obvious, is that automatically we're reminded that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching us. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always there. That even if we were to engage in whatever sin it may be, whatever sins our friends may be calling us towards, understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always there. And understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching us. And then another thing is that Allah subhanahu, we by us saying this, by us immediately calling upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are truly recognizing and realizing and expressing that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can take us away from whatever situation we are in right now. No matter how hard the situation may be, we may feel as if there is no way that we can get out of this situation, get out of this test or trial. Rather, once we rely upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can find a way. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows a way out for each and every single situation. We will never ever be stuck in that situation if we rely fully upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this what happened in this part of the story, where Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, he clearly rejected the advances of the wife of his master. And he said that my master has given me such, he has given me such honor. He's been taking care of me. So how can I disrespect my master? And this could be referred to either as actual master, meaning because Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam was a slave, or it could mean to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And both of these work over here. Both of these work. That Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, how could he go against a person who has blessed him with so many blessings and so many ni'mas? So in this part of the story, we see how Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam displayed the utmost patience and taqwa. And then what happened is that after the wife of his master was exposed, what happened? The woman of the city started talking about her. Oh, have you heard about this woman? Did you hear about what she tried to do with her slave? This and that. So what happened? The wife, her name was Zuleikha. What she did is that she gathered all the women of the area, and this is mentioned in ayah number 31, where she says, فَلَمَّا سَمِعَتْ بِمَكْرِهِنَّ. But when she heard about all of these slanders that were going on about her, أَرْسَلَتْ إِلَيْهِنَّ وَأَعْتَدَتْ لَهُنَّ مُتَّكَأً. That she called each of these women and she prepared for them a nice seating arrangement. وَآتَتْ كُلَّ وَاحِدَةٍ مِّنْهُنَّ سَكِينًا وَقَالَتْ تَخْرُجْ عَلَيْهِنْ. And she gave each of them a very sharp knife. That's all she did. And then she told Yusuf alayhi salam that come out, come in front of them. Just walk in front of them. فَلَمَّا رَأَيْنَهُ أَكْبَرْنَهُ وَقَطَّعْنَ أَيْدِيَهُنْ. That when they saw him, that when these women saw Yusuf alayhi salam, and subhanAllah, the beauty of the creation of Yusuf alayhi salam that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had created was second to none. Where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, we're describing, narrating the story, فَلَمَّا رَأَيْنَهُ أَكْبَرْنَهُ وَقَطَّعْنَ أَيْدِيَهُنْ. That these women, when they saw Yusuf alayhi salam, what happened? They immediately started cutting their own hands. They had no idea what they were doing. They were so lost in Yusuf alayhi salam's beauty and charisma. They had no idea what they were doing. They had no idea that they were holding a knife. They had no idea that they had started actually cutting themselves. And then they said, وَقُلْنَا حَاشَ لِلَّهِ مَا هَذَا بَشَرًا. That, subhanAllah, that no way. There's no way that this is a human being. And هَذَا إِلَّا مَلَكٌ كَرِيمٌ. That this has to be a great noble angel of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's no way that this is a human being. So then the wife, what does she say? قَالَتْ فَذَلِكُنَّ الَّذِي لَمْتُنَّنِي فِيهِ. That this is the person that you are blaming me for. I mean, this is that person who I was being blamed about. Like, do you blame me now? وَلَقَدْ رَاوَدتُّهُ عَنْ نَفْسِي فَاسْتَعْصَمَ. That yes, I did try to attract him towards myself, but what happened? فَاسْتَعْصَمَ. He stayed clear. He didn't engage in my advances. وَلَئِن لَمْ يَفْعَلْ مَا أَمُرُهُ لَيُسْجَنَنَّ وَلَيَكُونَ مِنَ الصَّاغِرِينَ. And what does this person say? What does Zulaykha say? She says that if Yusuf alayhi salam does not give in to whatever I'm asking him to do, he will be imprisoned. What does Yusuf alayhi salam say? And again, taqwa and sabr, patience in fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What does he say? قال رب السجن أحب إلي مما يدعونني إليه. Subhanallah. Where Yusuf alayhi salam is saying, he's calling upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's saying, oh Allah, that sijn, that prison, imprisonment is more beloved to me than whatever these women are calling me towards. Think about it. And he hasn't mentioned a certain sentence. He doesn't know if he's there for 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, lifetime. It doesn't matter. Yusuf alayhi says that imprisonment is more beloved to me than whatever these women are calling me towards. And he is telling on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala again, not relying upon his own strength, rather putting his condition in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what does he say? وَلَئِن لَمْ يَفْعَلْ مَا where he says, وَإِلَّا تَصْرِفْ عَنِّي كَيْدَهُنَّ أَصْبُ إِلَيْهِنَّ وَأَكُنْ مِنَ الْجَاهِلِينَ. This is ayah number 33, where he says to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that, oh Allah, if you do not, take me away from the plans or from the sinister plans that these women have in store for me, if you do not help me, or if you do not turn these plans away from me, what does he say? أَصْبُ إِلَيْهِنَّ. I am human. I will give in to these plans that these women have for me. I will give in to the sin. I am a weak human. أَصْبُ إِلَيْهِنَّ وَأَكُونَ مِنَ الْجَاهِلِينَ. And I will be from amongst those people who are ignorant. So one thing to realize is that we can never ever rely upon our own strength. We can never say that, okay, no, I am strong. For example, if we ever have an opportunity is presented to us where we put ourselves in a potentially sinful situation, but we tell ourselves that no, I understand that how people can potentially fall into sin if they are in this situation, but I am not like those people. I am strong. I fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I will go into the situation, but I will bear in mind that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always watching me and I have to stay steadfast on my deen. This is not how it works. We have to rely 100% on the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is all upon them, up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That once we're presented with this opportunity or this avenue to commit sin becomes clear to us, or it opens itself up to us, automatically go turn back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without even considering taking a footstep into this path, taking a footstep onto this, this pathway, this this avenue of sin that could potentially lead to sin. We're not even saying it's going to lead to sin definitely. Rather, if it has even the potential to lead to sin, automatically seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Many places in the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, whenever He's prohibiting us from doing something, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prohibits us from doing anything which could even directly or indirectly lead towards that certain sin which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prohibited us from doing so. So again, over here in this aspect of this, in this part of the story, this chapter of the story where Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, he's calling upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and he's seeking refuge in him, that saying that imprisonment is more beloved to me. At least in prison I can be by myself. At least in prison, even though it will be hard, I am safe from these evil, sinister plans that these women have for me. So then we go on to the next part where so what happens is that once Yusuf alayhi salam, he's in this prison, right? Two people come up to him and they ask Yusuf alayhi salam to interpret their dreams for Yusuf alayhi salam, and he does so. And so we'll not get into that. But what Yusuf alayhi salam says to one of the prisoners who was to go free, meaning he had an early release, Yusuf alayhi salam told this prisoner, what did he say? That udhkurni 'inda rabbik. And this is in ayah number 42, where Yusuf alayhi is telling this person that mention me to your Lord, meaning to your master, meaning mention me to the ruler of the time. Mention me. That there's this person named Yusuf, he's inside of prison. Now what happens? فَأَنْسَاهُ الشَّيْطَانُ ذِكْرَ رَبِّهِ فَلَبِثَ فِي السِّجْنِ بِضْعَ سِنِينَ. That what happened is that Shaitan made this person forget. This person who was freed, the freed inmate, who Yusuf alayhi told to go to his master and tell him that he is in prison, Shaitan made this person forget. فَأَنْسَاهُ الشَّيْطَانُ ذِكْرَ رَبِّهِ فَلَبِثَ فِي السِّجْنِ بِضْعَ سِنِينَ. So Yusuf alayhi what happened as a result of that was that he stayed in prison for more years after that, many more years after that. Again, sabr and taqwa. How Yusuf alayhi explained, he displayed excessive amounts of patience and excessive amounts of taqwa, understanding that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with him, understanding that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can bring him out of whatever situation he may be in. So he stayed in prison for many more years. And then what happens? One day one day the Rabb or the master, he has a vision, he has a dream. And he's trying to seek interpretation for this dream, but he doesn't really know anybody. So one person says that, you know what, there's this person, I remember, there's this person named Yusuf. Right now he's in jail, but he is the best in terms of interpreting dreams. So the master sends for him, right? But what happens? Yusuf alayhi salam says that I will translate, or I will interpret this prison while I'm here. I will interpret this dream while I am in the prison right now. So he interprets the dream. And then what happens is that he gets a pardon, meaning he's free to walk out of jail. He's allowed to go. But what happens? He says, and again, over here, this is in the ayah number 50, where فَلَمَّا جَاءَهُ الرَّسُولُ قَالَ ارْجِعْ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ فَاسْأَلْهُ. Now this messenger from this person in the exalted position, he comes to Yusuf alayhi and he says, you're free to go. What does Yusuf alayhi say? He says, go back to your master. Go back. ارجع إلى ربك فاسأله ما بال النسوة اللاتي قطعن أيديهن. That over here, what Yusuf alayhi he's doing is that he's trying to see that if he's actually pardoned. So he's asking the master that what happened to those women who started cutting their own hands? What did they say? إن ربي بكيدهن عليم قال ما خطبكن إذ راوتن يوسف عن نفسه قلنا حاشا لله ما علمنا عليه من سوء. So the master sends for those women who started cutting their own hands, and he's asking them that what do you think of Yusuf alayhi salam? And what do they say? حاشا لله ما علمنا عليه من سوء. That we do not know him to be an evil person. We do not know him to have any evil intent whatsoever. That he has no bad qualities, no evil qualities whatsoever. قالت امرأة العزيز الآن حصحص الحق أنا راودته عن نفسه وإنه لمن الصادقين. And after these women said this, then it was clear that Yusuf alayhi was actually pardoned. Meaning it became clear that Yusuf alayhi did not engage in any evil action whatsoever with his master's wife. Where the woman, the master's wife, Zulaykha, she herself came forward and she said, الآن حصحص الحق أنا راودته عن نفسه وإنه لمن الصادقين. That I invited him and I called him to do evil actions even though he did not want to do so. I invited him to do so against his own will. وَإِنَّهُ لَمِنَ الصَّادِقِينَ. That verily Yusuf alayhi salam, he is from the truthful people. And then we go to the next part. So again, over here, where Yusuf والسلام, he's given a pardon from releasing prison, but he still does not leave prison. He says that I need to be cleared first, because I don't want to come out of prison and then I have all of these slanders going on around me, or people may have doubt regarding my honor and my dignity. So I will not leave prison. So I will display this show of patience, and I will have taqwa, that I will have tawakkul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that I rely 100% on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then what happens? We fast forward where Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, he becomes head of one of the ministries of and in his government, where he asks his master that اجعلني على خزائن الأرض إني حفيظ عليم, where he's showing his qualities that I'm very trustworthy and I'm very knowledgeable, so I will handle the commerce aspect of the government. I will handle the commerce aspect of the government. And now what happened is that a drought fell upon the land, and inshallah we'll finish very soon, where a drought happened upon the land, and his brothers from Canaan came to Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, and they had no idea who Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam was. Of course, it had been a period of 40 years, according to many mufassirin. It had been a period of 40 years since they had thrown their brother in the well, and since they had sold their brother into slavery. It had been 40 years. So imagine they could have never fathomed that this brother, who they had sold into slavery, is now sitting on one of the most exalted governmental positions. He is a government official. So they came to him, and it was a time of drought. So many people from many different areas of the countryside, they were coming to collect grains and rations or whatever it may be. So Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, long story short, was that he asked them that, what, leave, don't you have one more brother? And Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam was fond of his youngest brother, Binyamin, or Benjamin as he's known in biblical terms. So Binyamin. So he said to his brothers that, listen, don't you have a younger brother? And they're like, yeah, but our father's very fond of him. And keep in mind that Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam, he never gave hope in the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He never gave hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala throughout this entire time. But he became very fond of Binyamin, his youngest son, just as he was fond of Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam. So now the brothers go back. The brothers go back to Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam, and they say that, there's the ruler, or the head of, passing out rations and stuff like that. He's asking that, we bring back Binyamin, our youngest brother, to Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam. Because for each person, they would give a camel load of rations. So he said that if you allow us to take Binyamin to Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, then what will happen is that we can have more rations, we can have more food. So what happens over here? Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam, he asked them, هل آمنكم عليه إلا كما أمنتكم على أخيه من قبل? Ayah number 64. Where Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam is that, am I going to trust you guys just as how I trusted you in the matter of Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam? Wallahu khayrun hafidhan wa huwa arhamur rahimin. That verily Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the best of all protectors, wa huwa arhamur rahimin, and he is the most merciful of all the people who show mercy. So Binyamin, he goes with Yusuf, he goes with his brothers, and he comes to Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam. And then we fast forward, okay? We fast forward a little bit more, where we go to ayah number 84. We go to ayah number 84. What has happened throughout this entire part is that these brothers returned to Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam, and there was a whole kind of a plan created by Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ultimately, that basically made Binyamin stay with Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, stay back with Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam. So the rest of the brothers went back to Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam. And now over here, they're saying that we'll start from ayah number 81, where the brothers are narrating the story to Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam, and they're saying, ارجعوا إلى أبيكم فقولوا يا أبانا إن ابنك سرق وما شهدنا إلا بما علمنا وما كنا للغيب حافظين. So they tell Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam that verily your son has stolen something. واسأل القرية التي كنا فيها والعير التي أقبلنا فيها وإنا لصادقون. And they're saying that if you don't believe us, ask anybody who was there, that your son has stolen from Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam. And in reality, Binyamin never stole anything. Rather, Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam had planted something into the bag of the ride of Binyamin, just so that he could keep Binyamin to himself. And then what does Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam say? وتولى عنهم وقال يا أسف على يوسف وابيضت عيناه من الحزن فهو كظيم قالوا تالله تفتأ تذكر يوسف حتى تكون حرضا أو تكون من الهالكين قال إنما أشكو بثي وحزني إلى الله وأعلم من الله ما لا تعلمون. Where over here what's going on is that he's expressing such sadness, still expressing sadness and remorse over Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, until he became blind. وابيضت عيناه من الحزن فهو كظيم, and he was angry. قالوا تالله تفتأ تذكر يوسف, and the brothers of Yusuf are saying that you have still not forgotten about Yusuf. You're not going to forget about him until you destroy yourself or until you die. Only then will you stop crying. قال إنما أشكو بثي وحزني إلى الله. That verily I only present my situation in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then he says, يا بني اذهبوا فتحسسوا من يوسف وأخيه ولا تيأسوا من روح الله. He's telling his sons to go back and look into the matter of Yusuf and his brother, meaning Binyamin. Go back and check. And do not ever despair in the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then what happens that they come back to Yusuf alayhi. And then Yusuf alayhi tells them, قالوا أئنك لأنت يوسف? Well, before that, Yusuf alayhi asked his brother that هل علمتم ما فعلتم بيوسف وأخيه إذ أنتم جاهلون, ayah number 89, where Yusuf alayhi is asking his brothers that, do you remember what you did to Yusuf alayhi? That one time where you were jahil, that you were ignorant, that you had no idea what was right and wrong? Do you remember what you did to Yusuf? And then all of a sudden they recognize him. قالوا أئنك لأنت يوسف? That, are you that Yusuf عليه الصلاة والسلام? قال أنا يوسف وهذا أخي. Yusuf عليه الصلاة والسلام is saying that, yes, I am Yusuf عليه الصلاة والسلام, and this is my brother. قد من الله علينا. Verily Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed so many blessings upon us. إنه من يتقي ويصبر فإن الله لا يضيع أجر المحسنين. Where Yusuf عليه الصلاة والسلام is saying that verily those people who show patience, who fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and who show patience, فإن الله لا يضيع أجر المحسنين. And they say, and he says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will verily not waste the good deeds of these people who do good. And then what happens? He says, قال لا تثريب عليكم اليوم يغفر الله لكم وهو أرحم الراحمين. And he tells his brothers, and inshallah we'll end in like 5 minutes, I'm so sorry we're going over time, but Yusuf alayhi salatu, he's telling his brothers that there's no blame upon you today, no problem whatsoever. يغفر الله لكم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive you. وهو أرحم الراحمين. And he is the most merciful of all those who show mercy. And then he says, اذهبوا بقميصي هذا فألقوه على وجه أبي يأتي بصيرا. Think about this. That now Yusuf alayhi salatu, he's telling his brothers that take this shirt and put it on the face of your father Yaqub alayhi salatu, and his vision will come back. Think about this. The first time Yaqub alayhi salatu was presented with a shirt, it brought him into an utter state of depression and sadness, because that shirt had damin kadhib, it had false blood on it, and it signified the false death of Yusuf alayhi. And now Yusuf alayhi is saying that take this shirt now, and this shirt will be a sign of life, that I truly am alive, and this shirt will bring back the vision of Yaqub alayhi. And ولما فصلت العير قال أبوهم إني لأجد ريح يوسف لولا أن تفندون. That this caravan carrying the shirt of Yusuf alayhi had just left the city boundaries, and Yaqub alayhi used to live far away in the countryside. But the second it had left the city boundaries, Yaqub alayhi was telling the people around him, إني لأجد ريح يوسف, that verily I smell, like I find the smell of Yusuf alayhi coming towards me. لولا أن تفندون, if you guys don't think I'm crazy, if you guys don't think I'm dying because of my old age, this is not something that I'm saying just because I'm in old age. Rather, I actually feel this. قالوا تالله إنك لفي ضلالك القديم. And what are they saying? That you're just stuck in your old doubts, your old mindset, that Yusuf alayhi salatu could come back. فلما أن جاء البشير ألقاه على وجهه فارتد بصيرا. That when this messenger who was bringing glad tidings, that he came to Yaqub alayhi salatu, he put the shirt on the eyes of Yaqub alayhi salatu, فارتد بصيرا, and the vision of Yaqub alayhi salatu came back, and he says, قال ألم أقل لكم. Yaqub alayhi salatu, subhanAllah, shows that he never ever despaired in the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, never ever despaired in the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he says, ألم أقل لكم, didn't I not tell you? Don't you see I never ever gave hope, and Allah gave up in terms of the hope of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then he says, إِنِّي أَعْلَمُ مِنَ اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ, that I know about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that which you do not know. Meaning I have firm tawakkul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, 100% belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then the sons come back to Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam, and they say, قَالُوا يَا أَبَانَا اسْتَغْفِرْ لَنَا ذُنُوبَنَا إِنَّا كُنَّا خَاطِئِينَ. And they ask Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam to please forgive us, we were verily in the wrong. And then he says, سَوْفَ أَسْتَغْفِرُ لَكُمْ رَبِّي, that verily I will seek forgiveness from you, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then what happens is that, we'll end with this, that they entered, all the brothers in Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam, they enter upon Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam back in the city, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes this, and he says, وَرَفَعَ أَبَوَيْهِ عَلَى الْعَرْشِ وَخَرُّوا لَهُ سُجَّدًا. That they all came to they all came to Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, وَخَرُّوا لَهُ سُجَّدًا. They all fell in prostration to Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam. And Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, what did he say? وَقَالَ, again, this is ayah number 100. He says, وَقَالَ يَا أَبَتِ هَذَا تَأْوِيلُ رُؤْيَايَ مِنْ قَبْلِ. He says, oh my dear father, This is the dream literally coming to life. That dream which I had mentioned to you in the beginning, where what did Yusuf alayhi salam say? قال يا أبت إني رأيت أحد عشر كوكبا, that he saw 11 stars in the sun and the moon prostrating in front of himself. So Yusuf alayhi salam is saying that this dream has now become true. And what did he say? وقد جعلها ربي حقا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made this dream come to reality. وقد أحسن بي إذ أخرجني من السجن. Now, inshallah, we'll end with this, I promise. What did he say? That this entire story that took place, he could have mentioned how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved him from his brothers. He could have mentioned how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved him from his wealth. Where does he start with? Where does Yusuf alayhi salam start with when he is counting the blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has showered him with? Where does he start with? He says, وَقَدْ أَحْسَنَ بِي إِذْ أَخْرَجَنِي مِنَ السَّجْنِ. He starts from the prison. He doesn't even bring up that which his brothers have done to him. It's all forgotten. Imagine that. His brothers have literally did one thing to him, which resulted in him being tortured and in a state of uncertainty for 40 years. But what does Yusuf alayhi say? لا تثريب عليكم اليوم. There's no blame upon you. And not only that, he never brings it up again. SubhanAllah, he could have brought it up right here. He never brings it up again. There is water under the bridge. Why are we going to open up old wounds? We're not going to bring it up again. So Yusuf he's saying وَقَدْ أَحْسَنَ بِي إِذْ أَخْرَجَنِي مِنَ السَّجْنِ وَجَاءَ بِكُم مِنَ الْبَدْوِ مِنْ بَعْدِ أَنْ نَزَغَ الشَّيْطَانُ بَيْنِي وَبَيْنَ إِخْوَتِي. That it is such a mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he brought you all from the countryside after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or that after shaitan had come between me and my brothers. He never once mentioned the actions of his brothers. Rather, he just simply said that shaitan had come between myself and my brothers. Inna Rabbi latifun lima yasha, innahu huwa al-alimul hakim. That verily Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so kind, so benevolent, and verily Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all knowing and all wise. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us these qualities of taqwa and patience, so that we may have the taqwa and the patience of Yaqub and Yusuf alayhi salatu wa salam. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Sorry for going way over time.
No, thank you, Sheikh Hafiz Hunzla. That was a beautiful summary of Surah Yusuf. Thank you again for joining us today. Inshallah, please do join us again tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. for Rayyan Center Daily Khatra with Hafiz Hunzla. Assalamu alaikum.